Too Bright to See by Kyle Lugoff. Chapter 12. I biked toward home, still wearing Mora's dress. She said I could keep it. The color matches your complexion more than mine, she had explained, and went on to tell me about undertones, cool and warm, and what mine is compared to hers. I don't remember which mine is. I wonder if the dress is expensive, if it's one my mom could afford to buy me, if taking it will help us save some money. My backpack, stuffed with my wet clothes and the Ouija board, bumps against my shoulder blades as if saying, "Hello again, hello again." Biking in a dress is more pleasant than I expected. It bunches easily underneath the seat, and my legs are free. The air rushes past them, strong and cool. Every time I look down, I think, there's a girl riding this bike. That girl is me. I'm a girl riding a bike. When I wear my regular clothes, I focus on the road or where I'm going to, or drift into a million different daydreams. But this is different. It's like whooshing downhill, very fast, even though this stretch of road is pretty flat. There's still a bike chain coiled up inside my gut, and I start to wonder if it's something I ate. Then I remember that I didn't eat anything during the movie except for a few baby carrots. I just have to ignore it till it goes away. I'm still so disappointed in the failed Ouija session, and wish I knew how much time we have before Uncle Roderick stops being able to communicate. The book that Griffin checked out could tell me, and I realize he gave me his number, but I also know where he lives. The Balmer farmhouse isn't exactly on the way home from Mora's, but it's not too far away. Not on a bike. So I veer left, where I would usually veer right, and zip toward his house, blue and yellow dress fluttering around me. While pedaling, I imagine what I'll say. I'll be standing on his front porch, taller somehow, beautiful in my dress, hair still a little wet, but that just makes it look darker and shinier. "Just thought I'd pop by," I'll say breezily, and talk about how interesting that book sounds. If I could just borrow it for a bit, and he'll be so charmed and impressed that he'll give it to me, and I'll find out everything. And Griffin will think I'm a cool, pretty girl, with just the right amount of mystery. This whole scenario is running through my head as I pull up to his house and get off my bike. My dress catches over the seat, and I almost fall into a heap on the lawn, but free myself before that happens. I ring the doorbell and hear footsteps come down the hall. The door opens, and there's Griffin in front of me, as perfectly put together as yesterday. And suddenly, the opening speech I've been rehearsing falls out of my mouth in a heap. "I popped by," is what I say. "Because of that interesting book from yesterday, and I know you gave me your number, but I know where you live, not because I know where you live, but I mean, I know you moved into this house, and I know where this house is," and he's looking at me, smiling, a little confused. This is all going so wrong. He looks down at my dress, and I suddenly realize how dressy it is, how wrong it looks on me right now, like showing up to a country fair in a ball gown, and the bike chain in my stomach coils around itself like a snake ready to strike. "Do you want to come in?" he asks. I take a deep breath and try to go back to the beginning. Ignore everything else. Just get the right words out. "Sorry, what I meant to say is, I just wanted to stop by for a second. I was curious about that book you checked out yesterday. Do you mind if I borrow it for a little bit? I promise that I'm very responsible with library books, and if anything happens to it, I can explain it to Mrs. Goldman. She's known me my whole life." There. That sounds normal. That sounds like the person he wanted to be friends with. Oh, he says. Sure, I can grab it, but do you want to come in? I think about all the terrible wrong things I could say, sitting on his couch, dress draped neatly across my thighs, and feel like I'm going to throw up. I have to get going, is what I say instead. My mom will be home soon. She'll worry if I'm not back. That must sound reasonable, so he disappears inside his house for a second and trots back with the book. Come over again soon and we can talk about it, he exclaims. Sure, I say, shoving it into my backpack. A little shocked to be invited back, but maybe he's just saying that to be nice. What I meant earlier also about knowing where you live, it's just we knew that a new family had moved into the Baumler farmhouse, and of course I knew where that house was. I know most places in this town, so that's how I knew where you lived, even though you didn't give me your address. I didn't stalk you or anything. He grins, and my stomach settles just a little. I figured, he said. Ever since we moved here, people have referred to the Baumler farmhouse. I think everyone knows my address. I wonder how long before they start calling it the Rivera farmhouse. Maybe if you and your family stay here for 200 years, I tell him. It's that kind of place. I like a challenge, he says, and we both laugh and I say goodbye. On the ride home, I avoid thinking about what I look like in a dress. Instead, I go over the conversation in my head, like each part, the initial blurt, the recovery, the friendly goodbye, are pieces of a spell that can transform me into someone who can successfully talk to a new friend. It's a spell I can only use on someone who doesn't already know me, someone who doesn't have strange, off-by-a-beat bug to compare to. I can only change so much in Moira's eyes. She's known me too long. But now there's a twinkle of hope that she's right, that middle school can be different, that I can be different. Mom's car is gone when I get home. I'm glad. I don't want her to see me dressed like this. She'll probably tell me how nice I look, and that makes me nervous. I told Moira we could go shopping sometime, but I still haven't decided for real if I'm going to dress like this in middle school. When I first saw myself, I thought I could, but what if I start feeling weird, like at Griffin's house 7,000 times a day? I don't have to decide now, but the first day of school is only a month or so away. I push my way inside the house and the door is heavier than usual, like it doesn't want to let me in. A lot of books have a moral, some lesson about how you have to stay true to who you are, how it doesn't matter if you're different, you don't have to act like everyone else, and that the most important thing is to be yourself. But those books never tell you how to figure out what yourself is. They assume that you already know and are pretending to be someone else for a while to fit in. I don't know what myself is, though. Maybe that's true for everyone. Maybe no one is really sure of who they are. I probably have to try out a bunch of different selves until I find one that fits. And maybe being a girl in pretty dresses will fit once I get used to it. Mom doesn't dress up very much, but I think she would if she had the opportunity. I bet she'd like having a daughter she can dress up with. And Uncle Roderick loved pretty dresses. He had a lot of them. We could have dressed up together, both of us, like drag queens. Well, him as a drag queen and me as just a girl. I bet he would have loved me in them. Being around Griffin, just for a few minutes, felt like I was practicing how to be a better version of myself. It needs work, but maybe if I practice often enough, it will start to feel natural. Maybe it'll stop being something I have to practice and something I'll just be. Maybe that's what growing up is like. Practice makes a person. Once inside, I drop my backpack near the front door and kick off my shoes. I tug out the bag with wet clothes and take them into the bathroom, draping my shirt and shorts over the tub. Then I slowly, purposefully turn toward the mirror, but avoid my face. I stare at the expanse of skin that goes from the top of the dress up past my collarbone. It looks like those girls in magazines, and my stomach twists harder. When I go to get my backpack, it's toppled over, and the Ouija board is sitting on the floor next to it. I stare at it for a minute. When I took out the plastic bag with my clothes, I know I left the zipper mostly closed. My backpack could have fallen over by itself, but there's no way the game box could have slid all the way out. Yeah, I get it, I say out loud, just in case Uncle Roderick is watching. I think this means he wants me to use the Ouija board by myself. A prickle of fear creeps up my neck at the idea, but I shake it off. I'm more curious than afraid, though sometimes those feel like the same thing. I take the board upstairs to my bedroom, and it's probably my imagination, but I think it's humming in my hands. The blue and yellow dress tents over my knees. Cross-legged again, the board in front of me, I place the planchette at the top in the center, right over the word Ouija, whatever that means. My fingertips resting on the planchette as lightly as possible, I close my eyes and inhale deeply. I briefly consider the warning against using Ouija boards on your own, but dismiss it. My uncle will protect me. Before I can breathe out, the plastic piece starts moving and my eyes snap open. This is nothing like the vague meanderings I felt before, whenever Maura and I had played. We would pretend it was moving by itself, but knew it was just our subconscious guiding it for a little bit of excitement. But this feels real. It moves purposefully from letter to letter, tugging and pushing and guiding, and I'm convinced that if I twitched my pointer finger the tiniest bit, I'd graze against another hand, sharing the space with mine. So I don't. I'm frozen, my hands petrified, pulled along like a fish on a hook. Too late, I realize that I haven't been paying attention to the letters. When Maura and I play, the planchette moves so slowly that it's easy to track the letters, to write them down, and figure out where the words separate, when we've been lucky enough to get words. And we usually ask questions, so there's some context for the answers. But the plastic triangle is spinning from letter to letter so quickly that I can't figure out what words they add up to. And anyway, I haven't even asked a question, so I don't know what it's trying to tell me. "Slow down," I cry out. Immediately, it stops moving. I'm breathing hard, my heart pounding faster than it did biking up the hill. "Okay, Bug, you can do this. First things first." "Is that you, Uncle Roderick?" The planchette shoots to yes, and an overwhelming weightlessness washes through me. Like I could fly up to the ceiling. I'm so happy. I want to tell him that I love him, that I miss him, that nothing is the same without him. But he must know that already. "Is there something you want to tell me?" I didn't know I wanted to cry, but my voice is thick with tears. I push them down. It stays at yes, but maybe quivers a bit. "What is it?" Too late, I realize that maybe I don't want to know. If he tells me, then that means he'll be done here and leave forever this time. I screw up my eyes as the planchette starts to move, slower now, but I can't handle not knowing, and I don't want to be the reason why he's not at peace. B. Y. By? By what? O. you are by our house? SELF. By ourself? What does that mean? The 9 letters repeat themselves. By ourself? Yeah, Mom and I are by ourselves now. Is that what you wanted to tell me? The letters repeat themselves again, maybe more emphatically this time. He wants me to understand, but I don't, not yet. Are you trying to apologize for leaving us? My voice cracks on the word leaving. A few tears roll down my cheeks. It's okay, Uncle Roderick. We know you didn't want to. It's not your fault. He did everything he could to stay with us. After months of treatments and drug trials and ups and downs, we spent those last days telling him it was okay to let go, to be at peace. The planchette shoots to no. Then it starts moving again, slower this time and weaker, like the invisible hand guiding it is getting tired. W-H-O-A-O-U. Who are you? It's me, Uncle Roderick, Bug. The library books said that spirits, especially of the recently deceased, get confused a lot, which is why they resort to bangings and crashings. It's an easy way to make themselves known and doesn't need, precise wording, but I'm a little worried. Does he not recognize me anymore? It's me, I repeat, your niece, Bug. The planchette shoots back to no. But it feels like he wants me to try again, not that he's disagreeing. Now the planchette is dragging along the board, moving as slowly as it does when it's just my subconscious guiding it. Be you. It stops. I wait for it to move again. Is he spelling out my name? I nudge it in the direction of the G, but it doesn't budge. Be you, I say out loud. The planchette spins in a slow circle. I repeat the letters again and then realize, oh, be you! Is that what you're telling me? Slower than an inchworm, the planchette pulls itself to the yes, then stops. I sense the invisible hand leave, and the planchette starts to tremble under my fingers. Uncle Roderick might still be hovering, too tired to communicate anymore. One of the books said that it takes a lot of energy for spirits to interact with the physical world, and I guess Uncle Roderick is tapped out. I grab a pen and some paper and scribble down everything I can remember. I wish I had been paying better attention when he first started talking to me, but all I write down is by ourself, who are you, and be you. I grab the library book and look for the part Griffin was talking about, but it's maddeningly brief and general. It does say that the energy a dead person leaves behind in the form of a spiritual impression or ghost can try and contact the living, and that their energy starts to dissipate after some amount of time. But it doesn't say how much time, or what happens if they fail to pass along their message. It also claims that if a ghost is trying to get in touch with you, it might be trying to avert a disaster, or communicate a secret, or give you advice. But it doesn't say anything about how exactly to figure that out. I wonder if Uncle Roderick is trying to say the same thing Moore has been telling me all summer. That I have to get myself in some kind of order before middle school. That I have to pick what kind of person I'm going to be. Or maybe he's trying to tell me something about himself. Like something that he couldn't tell us before he died. Or a mistake he made when he was my age, one he doesn't want me to repeat. I'm getting closer to figuring this out. I can tell. And I know what I have to do next.